I smell bad enough that I find it difficult to keep a job, for reasons outside of my control. What do I do? You probably need a long course of antibiotics. There are well-documented cases of invasive skin flora causing this condition. One man suffered smelling like dead fish for years after cleaning under his fingernails with a fish bone one day. This case is so well documented I've seen it twice in introductory microbiology textbooks as an example of normal flora replacement disruption. Find a dermatologist willing to culture your sweat to find out what kind of overgrowth you have. You're going to have to see a specialist. It might be expensive, but it's probably costing you more by the negative effects it's having on your career. Long haul trucking. You'll fit right in. I was a long haul team driver with my brother. Sometimes you just don't have time to stop except to fuel up and eat. It would be days between showers for us. I kinda miss it. Work somewhere that smells worse than you do. All of our garlic factories got outsourced to China. I suspect you may have a condition called bromhidrosis. It is a metabolic condition, so the next time you see your PCP, I would look into having them do a metabolic panel on you if you don't mind me asking. What is your ethnic background, and are you having any other signs or symptoms going on with your skin, like any waxiness or ashes? I'm a whitey, no other skin conditions. I will make a note of that condition and look into it later. Thanks. Genprax can only diagnose fairly routine conditions. If you present with a rare condition, you're out of luck. Are you near any of the Mayo clinics? Cleveland Clinic? You might want to consider getting copies of your medical records and going to one of those clinics. Mayo will consider your income. I have a friend who was getting nowhere with her GP. She took her records, drove to Mayo, sat in the clinic until someone could see her, and ended up with a diagnosis that saved her life. Don't take crap from GPs and accept nothing is wrong. Something is quite obviously wrong. Make someone take notice through whatever means necessary. If you have to show up for an appointment without showering for a few days, then do it. But be heard. Doctors are too complacent and too quick to pass off symptoms they don't understand. Good luck. I am a doc who is called in to solve difficult problems. Bacteria on your skin or in your pores is what can cause that odor. Another reason would be that your kidneys are producing ketones. I think it is the bacteria on the skin is the problem. It is bacteria in our armpits that causes BO. If you are responding to betaine HCl, then there is a bacterial shift in the gut that in turn affects the bacterial population and the skin. I would try to treat this topically and internally. Topically, I would bathe with Head and Shoulders, and internally I would call Concord Health and order Digest Solve 24/7 from them and take it with every meal in addition to the betaine HCl. The Digest Solve 24/7 has everything else you need for this in one capsule, so you won't go nuts doing this. Am I the only one being shocked that someone has to ask Reddit about a potentially serious health issue? The American health system seems seriously fricked up if you can't get a medical opinion without losing the little money you have left. Does health insurance cover anything in the US? Or just prescribed medicine or actual treatments? Over here, Germany, the poor guy could visit as many doctors as he wants, specialists or not, for a fee of $15 per quarter year. A few months ago I even got MRI and CAT scans without hesitation as a result of a shoulder injury. Granted, without a proper job or support by social services, the health insurance would be kinda expensive for the OP too. Regarding his problem, I also would suspect a problem in his guts as it happens after eating and affects his breath. Getting some blood results would probably be a good idea as a first step. In Germany you could get them for free if you're donating blood, as a possible solution to the financial problems. Reddit complains about the US constantly, oftentimes showing inaccurate information, and usually showing a complete lack of experience with any other system from which to base a comparison. However, on the medical situation, it's spot on. Yes, it really is that bad. Maybe something you use every day is affecting your smell. This one guy I went to college with smelled horrible. He would stink up the whole room even if he just walked through it. A few months later I was at home, and I picked up a sponge my mom used for washing dishes, and it smelled exactly the same as the guy. I put 2 and 2 together, and figured he must use a loofah or sponge to shower with, and the sponge smelled bad, which made him smell bad. TLDR. Sponges smell really bad if they aren't allowed to dry. You know, I haven't tried that, but since it comes and goes, mostly goes, and the loofah thingy I use stays the same, I don't think that's it. It's one more thing to try though, and mine is getting a little raggedy anyway. Actually, I forgot that I tried just using regular clean washcloths for a while. No effect. There's a lot of other things that could be at work here. If your liver, kidneys, and intestine are not properly releasing toxins from your body bloodstream, the only other place for them to be excreted is through your sweat glands, which I suppose is better than chronic toxin accumulation. Perhaps a liver function test would isolate the cause? What do? I don't have any more money to waste on useless trips to the doctor. Frick America. Have you tried antibiotics? A fecal smell sounds like bacteria to me. I haven't. Like I said, I could only afford to go to the doctor twice on the meager savings I had from my job that I was forced to quit, and they both told me I was fine, and refused to even send me to a specialist. It might be a good idea for you to pursue a job where odor doesn't matter. I know that working on a fishing boat pays really well, and if you smell like fish, well, no one will notice. Construction, working with animals, zookeeper, on a farm, etc., recycling, waste management, all of them I would think that smell wouldn't be an issue. I know that doesn't solve the problem, but it gets you employed and then you have insurance and money to go see a doctor. It's 1/2 of the solution. Become a taxi driver. You need to see a doctor and describe your symptoms to him. Body odor can be caused by renal or liver failure, or by diabetes, which as an overweight person you are far more susceptible to than someone of normal body mass. Seriously, go see a doctor. Simple blood work can rule these conditions out. Then you can move on to dietary issues or whatnot. The first thing that comes to mind is that you have a blood sugar control issue. If your blood sugar gets too high, it can encourage the growth of bacteria. This can cause many problems, one being body odor. Another thing that can cause a change in body odor is kidney damage, which as it happens, can be caused by diabetes. Very high or very low blood glucose levels can cause the kidneys to create ketones, the presence which can be tested. Get some ketone test strips and monitor when you are emitting the odor. What kind of diets have you tried? Low fat, high carb, low carb, high fat? Do you eat a lot of garlic or wild onion? There are many vegetables that can impact BO. You can also buy a glucose meter very cheaply to monitor your sugar levels to see if they change with the odor. Good luck. As political as the healthcare reform is, look into it. Certain provisions go into effect every year and some may help you. For example, right now you can't be turned away for pre-existing condition. It is also easier to get onto some federal healthcare plans if you are unemployed. If you research and jump through the right hoops and fill out the right forms, you might be able to see specialists for cheap, or possibly free. Have you tried cutting milk? I had a friend that drank a lot of milk and had the same issues. Once he cut the milk out, the smell disappeared. Since the vinegar seems to help counter it, perhaps it's milk dairy? Think of it as a superpower. Get a cape and join a league of superheroes, but make sure there is at least one person less powerful than you. Perhaps they have the ability to smell things from far away. In this scenario, that person is lower than you on the pecking order and they have to tell everybody when you're near. This may have nothing to do with your smell, but the cause of many people's bad odor has to do with the way you wash your clothes. If you leave your clothes in the washing machine for any length of time before drying, they develop a very pungent and awful smell that does smell a lot like bad BO. There was a guy I worked with who went through the same thing you did until I gave him this advice. Don't forget about your laundry. I read your old post and the idea of your stomach not digesting the food with acid and it just sitting in your gut and rotting is quite the thought. Doesn't sound too far-fetched, though, although that could be because I watch Fringe all the time. Either way, good luck. FWIW, the purpose of stomach acid is not digestion. Whatever benefit you're getting from extra acid is coming from its sterilizing effect. I noticed somebody suggested vegetarianism. Since the vinegar and betaine HCl work, it's very likely to be a specific issue digesting heavy proteins. That is, meat. I'm betting you're blood type A. 2. Blood type A people have very weak stomach acid, so proteins just sit and become stinky sludge instead of eliminating regularly. This sludge clogs up the eliminatory pipings in the pores and the walls of the intestines. The intestines are where food becomes nutrients and which then get absorbed into the bloodstream. If it's blocked up, the blood is just going to pick up the sludge, which in order to eliminate it is going to push it into your sweat glands. You perspire constantly, even when you're not sweating. So when the bowels are backed up, you are going to be a little smelly. Being vegetarian, or at least eliminating non-type A compatible meats and cheeses, will significantly help, along with continuing the betaine or proteolytic digestive enzymes for a week or two till the smell clears up, and then thereafter whenever you cheat. Don't cheat. Also add fiber to help scrub down the walls of your colon so that nutrients can get through to the bloodstream instead of sludge. Any green food will be immensely helpful because the chlorophyll cleans you out, and often green foods have bitter constituents that increase digestion and immunity, both of which can help with smell. It's not you that smells, but the waste of the bacteria in your body that is feeding on your waste. Better food equals better colon equals better bacteria equals better waste equals more nutrients and less putrid sludge equals cleaner blood equals cleaner perspiration equals better smell. Do you have a bathtub? Fill it with water on the hotter side of warm, and load it up with about 20 or 30 bags of tea, either black or green. Tea has great antibacterial properties and can leach it out of your pores. I have horrible foot odor and this really helps kill it for days at a time. I'm not a doctor or anything, but it sounds like your sweat glands have some sort of infection. Try this until you can find a doctor that can give you a proper diagnosis. Interesting. I might give this a try. If nothing else, I'll smell delicious, if only for a short period of time. Maybe try asking the people over at our Medical Mysteries. This happened to someone at work for me. Turned out he was going gangrene, which I'm sure you are not, but still, get someone to look for bacteria in your system. Fecal-like odor is usually the smell of decay, and there may be a bacteria or parasite. 1. Determine the name of your condition. Get a diagnosis. 2. Explain this to your boss. 3. Next time you get fired, contact the Disability Rights Network and sue. 4. Profit. Okay, I've encountered something like this before. My wife, who was a little heavy at the time, went through a year or so when she often smelled like she hadn't wiped properly. I didn't say anything early on, because I like to be tactful and discreet, and I only really noticed it at cuddle time. A little while later, we noticed she had a lump forming on her back, like a soft little marble. Obviously, we had this checked out. After referral to a dermatologist, the sebaceous cyst was removed and she said it was the foulest smelling thing she'd ever experienced. Ooh, the light bulb finally came on over my head and I realized the connection to all outward, olfactory appearances. She no longer has trouble wiping any longer. Good luck with this. You should really try and get a diagnosis for this. Not only is smelling like a corpse a bad thing, but it just might be a symptom of something worse. That said, you could always try to become a mortician. It has nothing to do with your diet or your obesity. Your body is composed of your own human cells, right? Or so you've been led to believe. But the truth is that your body is composed of more than just human cells. Even when you don't have an infection, your body is filled with bacteria. 10 or 20 times more of them than your own cells. And most of them in a healthy person are good. They digest food you can't digest and release vitamins and nutrients that your intestines can absorb. They actively fight bacteria that could make you sick. Because if you croak, they're sort of fricked too. They're on your side, but they're not unchanging. They didn't come from nowhere. You've picked these up throughout your life. Maybe just one little bug at a time that reproduced enough that you'd have a colony of them. And 18 months ago, you picked up a new hitchhiker, and instead of being helpful, he makes you smell like crap. This won't stop happening until that bug is dead. You need to be put on a massive course of antibiotics. It will kill beneficial flora as well, but there's no way to target just the one. If you can convince your doctor to do this, and if the bug just doesn't happen to be one of the many kinds that can ignore the drugs, it'll fix the problem in just a few weeks. Hope you read this. Hope it helps. Your diet is poor. Probably too high in sugars. You don't exercise. Your body takes too long to digest food. At some point all this added up to a major imbalance in gut flora. This has affected the permeability of your small intestine. Your body cannot digest food properly. Your body is basically recirculating waste and toxins. Your excretory organs are overloaded and the waste is coming out your pores. Vinegar and butane HCl help because they help to break down food. Vinegar is particularly helpful in breaking down fats. Your bile duct is probably clogged and your body doesn't have enough bile to break down fats in the diet. These will be particularly stinky when rancid. You can go on and on with theories about what is wrong and point at a million other things, but unless you change diet and lifestyle you will be in the same predicament. It's not that big of a mystery. TLDR. You're rotting from the inside out. Two things crossed my mind. If you get fired for a medical condition you can lawyer up. And if you cannot work because of a medical condition you should be entitled to disability benefits. I have an idea that's so crazy, it might just work. You've smelled liquid smoke, maybe gotten it on your fingers only to find out later that your fingertips are seemingly stained with the sickly sweet scent of mahogany. My proposal is this: when loading up your washing machine next, replace the detergent with an equal amount of liquid smoke. Your clothes will be drenched in the scent, and your aura of stench will change to that of a campfire or barbecue, reminding co-workers and customers of happy summer days spent outdoors with friends and family alike. Although, if this doesn't sound appealing to you, perhaps you would be more suited to take up chain smoking. It's lupus. I love how the skinny people seem to know exactly how to fix every overweight person's problems, except they're all completely wrong. Fucktards. Move to Europe. You say you've tried diet changes, but does that include your drinking diet? I've noticed personal body odor changes associated with too much coffee, beer and not enough water, hard as those are to cut. I've almost completely cut out soda from my diet, hate coffee, and don't drink much alcohol to begin with. I go through about 3 L of water per day. See a dermatologist. You might have liver failure. You need to see a doctor again, ASAP. So scary that someone could have what is obviously a huge red flag symptom and that multiple doctors would just say, "Mel, you seem fine," and not refer you immediately. The doctor that said nothing was wrong hang out in his waiting room all day. I knew this kid who I used to hang out with in my younger years. He would literally reek. I never knew why this would happen. Turns out he was lactose intolerant. It happens at any age. This could be what you're experiencing, bro. I've seen tonsil stones mentioned several times, and I think it may be worth looking into, but a friend of mine in elementary school got really sick and the doctors said she had about 2 weeks left, and on a hunch, they just up and removed her tonsils. After a biopsy, they saw it had been rotting from the inside and releasing toxins into her body. After 2 weeks, instead of being dead, she was out hiking. So, maybe get your tonsils out, get a biopsy done. Have you ever had liver function tests, LFTs? There's a condition called fata hepaticus that causes a fecal odor to emanate from the lungs. Presence of hemorrhoids is another symptom that comes along with this. Of course, this is a late sign of liver failure, not an early one, so you'd probably have a bunch of other problems besides hemorrhoids by now if this was the case. According to WebMD, you are having a heart attack and need to get to the doctor immediately. Batman villain. Take revenge on the world that scorned you for what God made you. That's about the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Sorry, there's got to be some medical condition, so you need to find the right doctor. A lot of doctors are suspected or unqualified for obscure conditions. Do research via Google and narrow down some conditions that may cause the smell and see a specialist and get some blood tests done. Feces and sweat smells because of bacteria, so the doctor is probably right. Don't waste your time with suggested supplements. I'm tired of hearing of people taking all sorts of supplements for X problem. Supplements are unregulated, GNC etc. Sells all sorts of junk that doesn't work and could possibly harm you. You need a doctor and probably some FDA approved treatment. Good luck. I would consult with a dermatologist and or an endocrinologist. This may be hormonal, or it could be a fungal infection. You have been visited by the wealth rat. Subscribe in 12 seconds and he will share his wealth with you. Like and subscribe, you magnificent person.